You are listening to World Awakened Talk Radio at www.worldawakened.com.
Hello and welcome to World Awakened Talk Radio. I am your host, Kerri Kannan, and I am joined today by my co-host, Craig Todd. Craig is a network marketing guru, I want to call him, and he's totally magnetic to money. And I sort of attracted him into my life a couple of years ago when I was looking for some help in that regard. I am the founder of the World Awakened Project, and I am joined tonight by two awesome women. And before I introduce them, Craig, why don't you just kind of say hi here?
Well, Kerri, thanks for taking the time here tonight, and I'm really excited about the show and all the information these two girls have to share.
Well, tonight we are joined by Brenda Pearce, who is the founder of E-Factor Network, and we are going to hear all about that and Brenda's awesome energy and the awesome work that she does. And we're going to find out tons about her and her work, and we're also going to find out about Ginger Hannah, who has been a friend of mine for probably 10 years, and she's an awesome, brilliant light. And she is a life coach, trainer, workshop facilitator, and she has a passion to help people create their heart's desires. Welcome, Brenda, and welcome, Ginger.
Oh, it's an awesome honor to be with you, Kerri and Craig, this evening, and to also meet Ginger. This is our first time interacting, and what a pleasure it is to be here on the World Awakened Project with such brilliant people. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I feel
Welcome,
the
Ginger.
same way. I am just feeling so privileged and blessed to be on this call tonight and to hear all about what each of us is doing. So thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm going to just roll in right with Brenda. I've known Brenda not quite as long as Ginger, but I do know that Brenda is just an amazing, amazing woman, and she's always helping people to. She gives from her heart, and one of our mutual associates has called her an earth angel. Brenda, can you tell us a little bit why did you decide to start the E-Factor Network?
Why don't we start there? It's a good place to start. And thank you for sharing such kind words. And it is such an honor and pleasure to work with you, Kerri. I know we haven't been together for very long interacting, but it seems like a whole lifetime because when kindred spirits meet, chemistry happens. And that's exactly why I created the E-Factor Network and radio program station, is because I believe in collective collaboration, which means together we are stronger when we're united than when we're working in silos and struggling on our own. And so in this day and age where there are so many people with so many brilliant messages out there, I believe that in helping to elevate their presence and message in the world, it so fulfills my need to be elevated and have my message also out there. And it has just been a great honor to connect with so many wonderful, wonderful people who have just another extra piece of information to add to the beautiful tapestry of what is known as life today. And that's what it's about.
Great, thank you. And Craig, feel free to jump in at any point. So I just want to invite you to
I think tonight I'm going to be a good listener.
Okay, all right. Brenda, I know that you're a nurse and you're a Reiki master, I think. Mm-hmm. And you're very much into helping people sort of heal their lives as well as that support aspect that you bring to us through the E-Factor Network. What gave you the drive to decide to go into the healing arts? Was it more of from a medical perspective, or was it more from a spiritual perspective, or was it a combination of both?
It was just sheer luck. I kind of fell into that. I was at my lowest point in my life. My marriage was really bottomed out, and I was a mom with 3 young children and struggling to make ends meet. And just when I thought there was, that was life, struggle, and that's when Reiki stepped into my life, and that was at the hospital where I was working. And we had a Reiki master teacher who was visiting and doing some palliative care work and working with various patients. And we all, us staff, we didn't know anything about this. And we see this lady putting her hands on everybody and being really quiet. And we kind of looked at each other and went, ooh, freaky voodoo, what's that all about? And we followed her around a bit. And I think she got the idea that we needed to know what was going on because we were kind of, surreptitiously peeking on her. And she followed me down to the staff lounge on break where myself and one other person were at break. And she just basically introduced herself and asked if anybody would like to have a relaxation break. And I said, oh, pick me. Well, at that point, understanding the greater picture of what all life really is and how expansive it is beyond our flesh and blood and what the medical textbooks were saying was very alien to me. And so I think it was just a cry out for my own personal soul from need from all the aspects of my life that were kind of crumbling on me that brought that to me and then allowed me to experience that 3-minute session where I just felt like I was off in another planet. I never felt so relaxed in all my life. And for the next 2.5 days after that event, I just floated around. I was jubilant in the face of all the despair that there was going on. And that opened up to me the aspect that you can have peace even in the face of chaos, and that there are tools that do not require a prescription pad in order to affect change in our lives. And that opened me up to a grand journey which led me to become a master teacher in Reiki, and that freaky voodoo lady became my mentor and teacher. And so basically that has what opened up. And if it wasn't for that 3-minute Reiki session that I had 11 years ago, I would not be here with you guys hanging around and talking about all this wonderful stuff tonight.
Yeah, it would still be way outside of your box.
Absolutely.
Kerri, can I jump in here? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Go ahead.
Brenda, do you remember what exactly was going through your mind during that 3-minute period of time? I know that's kind of an esoteric kind of question, but do you remember like all the thoughts that were floating around in your mind at all?
Actually, I went really deep and I went really out. And actually, what I've come to figure out is I went into theta. So the theta stage of brain consciousness is a very deep and actually very spiritual portal to all that is. And it only took me 3 minutes to get there. And so in that space of time, I was like totally unaware and yet totally more aware of my life and my experience than I ever was before that time. So it's hard to describe it, but I guess the biggest feeling that I had, because I'm very kinesthetic, is I felt like I was safe and in my mom's arms again, just like a child, very protected, very safe, and very relaxed.
But there was. I mean, were there any thoughts? I mean, actual, information, flying around in your mind. I mean, was something happening there?
No. Actually, it was just there was too much happening before and after. Like too much was happening in my life and my mind that I actually opened up to have a space. And I honestly believe that in having that space, it opened me up to greater consciousness. So there was really a nothingness, but yet it was everything.
Cool. You mentioned, was it theta or beta?
Theta.
Theta?
Yeah.
Okay, can you explain what theta is to me?
Okay, so there's the different levels of sleep and or consciousness actually, and theta is actually a very when people meditate, they go into theta. So this was like a form of meditation, but I wasn't aware of it at that time, and so it basically is the portal to consciousness.
So
it's the best way I can explain it.
So it's a state of mind that you gravitate toward or create?
Yes.
Wow,
and that was... And if you talk to people, like since then I've talked to various, obviously I've had greater awareness, so I've, talked to people about these things. And, yes, great meditators say that they go into theta. And when you do that, it's almost like a portal opens up, and they can ask questions and receive the answers through it. At that point, I just didn't even know what that was, and so my experience was totally just open. So since then, I've been able to go back to that state. Basically, whenever I do a Reiki session on somebody else, or on myself, or doing group sessions on the internet or on the phone, I go into that state again. And every time I do, because I'm aware of it more so, I'm more appreciative of when answers come. I realize that they are answers to questions I've been asking.
Wow, very interesting. A couple of months ago, I actually was looking online, and this article that I came across explained that Albert Einstein actually trained his mind to actually go into this theta state that you're talking about and stay there for hours upon hours.
Oh, wow.
Were you aware of that?
No, I wasn't aware of that, but I do know that a lot of people nowadays who do a lot of deep soul searching, when they get their kind of like their aha moment, it's because they do go into a theta state. So to be there for hours on end, that explains the great downloads of information he was able to bring to us into our consciousness, which basically changed modern thinking.
Sure. Now, when you do it, is it just momentary, like you said, a couple of minutes? Is that what we're not all Einstein, but is that the normal time frame, a couple of minutes or 5 minutes or something?
Yeah. Actually, you don't have to be in there for very long in order to receive what it is you're looking for. Lots of times people just want enough of it just to break the pain, fear, anxiety triangle that haunts us each and every day, because we are in a stress, flight, or fight mode most of the time. And, just to get that break from that can add years to your life, and actually can help you to be, it actually is like an anti-aging process as well. So that is just little snippets of it is enough to make life-changing events happen for you. So to be in it for longer, you have to have great staying ability, because you have to remember we're here in this human consciousness, and this 3D reality still pulls us back for a reason. It's an anchor.
We're going to have to take a little break. Sorry, Craig. And we'll be right back.
The word is spreading. More and more people are switching to ambit energy.
Well, one of my neighbors switched, and then I switched. Now the whole neighborhood has ambit.
Who doesn't want to save money?
The word is spreading. Switching to ambit energy is rewarding in more ways than one.
I signed up and got a travel reward. That's nice.
Oh, I get to save on energy and on travel?
There's a cruise for two out there just a few thousand kilowatts away. I can almost smell the sunscreen.
The word is spreading. Ambit energy even lets you earn free energy.
When I get 15 friends to switch, I get free energy. I have 15 friends. At least I think I do.
Hey, I'd be telling people to switch to ambit anyway.
If you'd like to switch to ambit energy, listen to the following contact information closely. Then spread the word.
Visit everythingisenergy.joinambit.com. That's everythingisenergy.joinambit.com.
Okay, we're back. This is Kerri Kannan. I am joined by my co-host Craig Todd, and we are talking to Brenda Pearce right now about theta states of consciousness. And we are also joined by Ginger Hannah, who we will be speaking to in just a few minutes. Go ahead. You guys were talking about moving into that theta state of consciousness.
Yeah, Brenda, I have one more question, and then I'll promise I'll do my quiet trick like I promised. But now, when you're helping people with this meditation, it allows them to reach this, like you're saying, almost like a nothingness, like this giant void where your mind kind of opens up and then downloads information, and it just your life can explode into creativity, or like Einstein with his mathematics and all these different theorems and everything. has this been able to help people in their daily life? For example, with ADHD or ADD or any of these things that people face on a daily basis?
Well, in those two applications, I don't have any concrete proof, but I can tell you, just from doing group Reiki sessions online on Skype and on the internet, I did have an assembled group of international people from Australia, China, and UK, America, Canada, various countries. And I was doing a group session where we were doing a group Reiki, and everybody was in the circle of consciousness and had agreed to the session. And I didn't know, but the gentleman in the UK actually had done his blood pressure just prior to start. And we did this group process, and after we were done, he announced to me what his pre- and post-blood pressures were, and he was absolutely gobsmacked, as the English like to say, that the results were significantly reducing his slightly elevated blood pressure, and he was absolutely amazed that something that could be not really seen or felt, but was just being experienced from distance, could have such a profound effect on his health and well-being at that moment. So what happens is when people go into this state where they let go and allow the consciousness to relax and to get into a deeper state, it actually creates what's known as the relaxation response, and that's a coined medical term. So with that, you can think people's anxiety, fears, pain can be reduced because each are reactive to the other parameter. Blood pressures can be reduced. So therefore, a relaxation effect does happen, which, really, if somebody's ADD or ADHD, they're in this hyper state of awareness. So to allow them to have this natural state of relaxation to occur can definitely help them, as far as I believe it to be possible, to help them to relax and therefore assimilate what's going on in their environment in a much more easily to digest piece.
So is this where, in my mind I'm thinking, okay, I'm laying down on a couch, I've got my feet up, I'm relaxed, or is this something that you can achieve while you're just walking around in life or just sitting at your desk and working?
I honestly believe that once you experience this for yourself and you know how to connect, because you can be trained, become a Reiki practitioner, but people who just allow themselves to connect to Reiki, which is the Japanese word for universal life force energy. And when you think about that, universal life force energy is all around us. We don't have to see it, but we can believe it. And yet, some people don't believe it because they can't see it. But in this moment, what I would suggest people to do, if you want to experience this for yourself, is basically put your feet on the floor, sit quite comfortably, put one hand on your heart, and one hand let it rest wherever you wish it to, wherever it falls comfortable. And then taking a deep breath of allowance, you're going to allow this process to happen. You can go Reiki, Reiki, Reiki 3 times and just feel for yourself what that feels like. And in doing that, we'll let people sit for a second and connect and allow. And then just take a big, beautiful breath in and exhale. And I'd love to know if anybody felt anything any different in that, just that brief minute.
I did.
Great. What did you feel?
I just felt slightly more relaxed.
That's great, and that's exactly it. When we can cut through the pain, fear, anxiety, and relax a little bit, even for just a split second or two, doesn't that open up the opportunity to feel something different in this life experience?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. So this can be taught to anyone, whether you're 8 or 80?
Yes, absolutely. I remember when I was hosting a class of first level 1 students, and basically what I did was I invited a bunch of people who wanted to learn, and my teacher came to teach. And one of the people actually was my daughter, Allison, who was 8 at the time. And Allison was attuned to level 1. And what that level 1 training did for Allison was it allowed her to actually work on our cat who had congestive heart failure. And that cat, because of the additional Reiki that my daughter lovingly gave to that cat, lived for 3 more years, when it was only expected to live 1 more month.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah. That's beautiful, Brenda. What you're doing is just wonderful, and I can so attest to it as well, because I'm a Reiki master as well, and so I do it every night. I do self-Reiki, and I send it out into this world, and it just is a beautiful, beautiful opportunity. Someone called me right before the call and said that his dad just had a heart attack, and he was on the way to the emergency room, and that was the first thing I did, was to send out Reiki healing energy. And I know it works. It works in person. It works from an absent basis. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful healing energy that you're allowing to come through you and bring to the world. So thank you for the work you're doing.
Oh, thank you, and thank you for sharing. It is significantly probably one of the ways that we can actually energetically connect without having to worry about borders, time frames, schedules. As long as there's a willingness amongst people to receive, it is possible for us to be able to transmit that love. But, it's not only geared to people who have this knowledge. Let's think about the different possibilities. Have you ever thought of somebody and wanted to call them and picked up the phone, and without the phone ringing, they're there? That's how connected we are. It's just that we don't realize it until we do a formal training that tells us and kind of gives us the permission to think that way. Then we really understand the connection we have. But, a mother's love, a father's touch, they're all healing. How many times do we hear about twin studies somewhere in the world where twins are separated, but they're still thinking and doing the same thing no matter what? We are energetically connected.
That's very interesting. I have a twin brother and sister. They're younger than I am, and they're fraternal twins, obviously. And they are so connected, it's just amazing. So I've noticed that connection all of our lives. And my brother, I asked him to move here to Texas. I live in Dallas. He lives in New York. And he told me that he would only do it if my sister could move with him.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, that's how connected they were. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And, so, there is this richness in the fiber of the energy of our life where we hear things like this is a holographic experience whereby each and every one of us has a piece of each other within us. And it's true. It's things like this that really open up the consciousness to all that's possible. And so I'm just forever blessed to be able to have had the experience I've had. And what I do is I still work as a registered nurse part-time. And before I start anything in my day related to my resident care, I always say the little prayer of may everyone and everything be blessed today that I touch with Reiki love.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Brenda. I know that Ginger feels that connection a lot, and perhaps in different ways. Ginger, would you like to talk about your childhood experience with your dad and how you're connected with him even now?
Sure. Thanks, Kerri. My dad took his life when I was 17, and it came after just a lot of struggles in his life, in and out of work, not feeling like he could provide for our family, and it just really took a toll on our, on all of us, and me especially. I felt he and my mom had an argument before. Sometime in the year before, and I had told him that I didn't respect him anymore, and so I got this belief system that, I don't deserve respect. I because I told my father I didn't respect him, and he took his life. And, and I can't speak my voice because I spoke my voice and someone died. And, men are going to love me and leave me because my dad and I were so connected, and then he left, and it felt like death because it was death. And so, and that I'm not worthy to have an abundant life because I caused my father not to have a life. So those were the belief systems that at 17, were sort of created in my mind because of that experience. And you can imagine what kind of life I created with those kind of belief systems. And it took me till I was age 50 and did a lot of work with a spiritual healer who's a very dear friend of mine now, to heal those beliefs and really to release them from my consciousness and to look at them and, look at that experience and see what really was going on from a spiritual perspective and know that that so impacted my life. I mean, I went on to just really look for, on my spiritual quest, look for, that continuing connection with my father and how could we stay in touch with each other. And I feel his presence, and my mom is in spirit as well, feel her presence with me all the time. My dad was a fireman, and my grandpa as well. And, I can be praying every night I pray. I have a little sanctuary where I pray, and it could be 9 o'clock, 10, 11, 12. It doesn't matter what time it is, but there's a fire truck driving down my street. And I live on a side street. I don't live on a main street or whatever, and I just feel like it's my dad saying goodnight. So it very much impacted who I am. I went on to take spiritual development classes and to become an ordained spiritualist minister. And basically spiritualists believe that life continues after the change called death, and that we can be in contact with our loved ones, and that, they send us signs all the time. And for me, that's very, very comforting.
We are going to have to take a little break right now, and you are listening to World Awaken Talk Radio with the World Awaken Project. We'll be right back.
The word is spreading. More and more people are becoming ambit energy consultants.
I overheard a friend of mine talking about ambit. Now I'm the one talking about it.
Helping others save on energy, this is more than a business.
I sure like working for myself better than my old boss.
The word is spreading. Ambit energy is growing.
Ambit's moving into more and more deregulated markets all the time.
I feel like I'm getting in on the ground floor, and that's a good thing.
Opportunity is everywhere.
The word is spreading. Anyone can be an ambit consultant.
I'm actually a dental surgeon, but when I picture my future with ambit, it's a lot more promising.
If you'd like to become an ambit energy independent consultant, listen to the following contact information closely. Then spread the word.
Visit everythingisenergy.energy526.com. That's everythingisenergy.energy526.com.
Welcome back. You are listening to World Awaken Talk Radio. I am your host, Kerri Kannan. I am joined by my co-host, Craig Todd, and also by Brenda Pearce and Ginger Hanna. And Ginger was just telling us about the experiences that she had when she was growing up of blaming herself and taking on all of this burden when her father took his life. So I very much appreciate your openness and your vulnerability and your willingness to be transparent with your process. Ginger, thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. I really feel that it helps. I find myself being guided to people that have had the experience of having lost a loved one to suicide, and in fact, that's one of the things that my husband and I have in common, because he lost a daughter to suicide. And so it adds another dimension to a loved one crossing over that can bring up all kinds of feelings, and guilt and shame and grief and anger and sadness, and you name it, it brings it up. And part of what I do in the workshops that I do is help people to release those kinds of feelings, because I just stuffed them. I really just, I wanted to sort of preserve my dad's memory, and I really think, looking back on it, that I was concerned that if I let those feelings come up, that I would take the same route that my dad did, that I would get stuck in them, that they would overwhelm me. And so I just really put them under cover for, from age 17 to 50. And my minister at one point said, your feelings are your friends. And I'm like, what? How can that be possible? But he was right. And, the way to release our feelings is to be able to feel them and then to work through them to the other side. And that's one of the things that I do in the workshops that I do. I use a tool that I absolutely love. It's called Making Room for the Miracle. It's a 2-page worksheet that came from a book called Radical Forgiveness by Colin Tipping. And it just is an amazing process that I work through with people to get to what are those belief systems that we developed in our childhoods and in subsequent relationships and experiences through our lives that are now holding us back and that are, keeping us from all that we want to be. So that's part of what we do in the workshop is we work through that worksheet, and it has an amazing ability to also help people get at what is the divine purpose for my life, because I feel like we all have a huge reason for being here. We're all really light workers that came to this, planet at this time to help heal the energies of the collective consciousness and to help us raise this planet to another level, to a level of peace and joy and love for all of us to experience. And we're sort of stuck in that human consciousness right now. Most of us are not awakened to our divine self. And the workshops that I do are in great part to do that. And, Kerri, I just so applaud you for the work that you've done in founding World Awakened, because obviously you're doing it on a worldwide basis, and that's just amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Something that I really try to incorporate in my life and see, which is not always easy, is recognizing, myself in every single one of my experiences. And Craig will attest to this, that sometimes I do like to sort of deflect. But you are amazing in your interpretations of your experience. And the one that comes to mind is you were having, somehow you were having issues with your house, and then you had to go through, all of these different relationships to get through these different levels of, would you just elaborate a little bit on how the little tiny things that you see in your life every day represent that unity consciousness that we are all, we know that, we live in this unified field, that everything is connected in some way, but you have a special way of recognizing that and acknowledging that and living that. And could you just tell maybe a story or two about how you interpret your life?
I would love to. Thank you. I really believe that just we have these angels and these spirit guides and certainly our loved ones that have crossed over that are watching over us and sending us signs, and just like the fire trucks every night. And so what I found is, because we're connected at a very deep level, I know that we're all one at a divine level. We're divine mind. And at that level, that's kind of what you were talking about before, when, you think about someone and bang, the next day they're calling on the phone and you haven't talked to them in 20 years, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, how did that happen? And so, what happens to us as well is that the energy that we're holding inside of us and whatever we're thinking about, whatever emotional about, whether it's feelings or it's thoughts, that is being, mirrored back to us by our life experience. So, for instance, I went through a period during that time when I was trying to heal all those belief systems that I was in 4 accidents, and there were 3 accidents in front of my house. Now, all of them at a time when I was home and I got to see them and hear them and, respond to them and that kind of stuff. And it was like a huge wake-up call, like, why are these accidents happening? And, in the first one, and people will think I'm crazy about this, but Louise Hay has this book that most of my work is based on. It's called You Can Heal Your Life. And it's absolutely wonderful. And she talks about how the different parts of the body and the different ailments that we have are no accident and that they each represent something. So, if I bang my hand in the door kind of thing, I might think about, well, how am I handling my experiences, and what am I walking out to when as I open the door, and if I've hurt myself, what is that telling me about how I'm handling this experience that I'm going to? Or when I fell on the skating rink and I broke my arm, an arm has to do with power, and I fractured just above my shoulder, and so at the time I was in a relationship where the gentleman wasn't working. I felt like I was carrying a lot of the responsibility, and I just was holding that all on my shoulder, and came down and fractured it and had to be taken away in an ambulance. So it's kind of like the universe is mirroring back to us. Or the time that I got scammed for $6,000, I had to sit down and say, what was I thinking that would cause me to lose $6,000? And I know from my studies as in the seminary that 6 is a very psychic number, and it means that something is going to happen here. And pay attention to the sign. There's a sign here that's going to happen. And so, I sat down and I thought, wow, what is the sign here? And I was in a relationship with this guy, and I had wanted it to be more, and it wasn't more. And I was thinking, I was going back into that old belief system. I'm not worthy, I don't deserve this, and, what is it about me? And I lost myself in that relationship. And that scam of $6,000 was representing back to me. It was the universe saying, this is what you're thinking about you not being worthy, and that you've lost yourself is causing now for you to lose this kind of money. And I'm so glad that in that moment I got it, because I was able to forgive the people, and let go of the thought that somebody did this to me, and see their innocence and see them as mirrors of what my consciousness was giving me. So in everything that's going on in my life, I try and look for the treasure, and I try and look for the reason that it's going on. What's the message? What's the sign? And the universe is so benevolent that it whispers to us first. It'll give us messages in very little, gentle little nudges. And if we don't get it, then it's got to up the ante. It's got to up the volume so we can hear it and we can see it. So we might get the proverbial 2x4. And if we don't get the 2x4, the message that comes with that, then boy, oh boy, we're going to get the 6x6, and that was that $6,000. So, those are just a few examples of what, and it's as easy as saying, let's see, my brakes are going. What is going on with that? Do I need to put on the brakes with what's going on in my life, or do I have the brakes on right now and I'm not moving forward? It can be something like that, or the exhaust system falls off, or the muffler's really loud. Well, am I exhausted? Do I need to get more sleep? I mean, the universe uses symbols and signs and language that we can interpret very easily, so we don't need to make it mystical. We can just say, wow, my basement just flooded, and what the heck is that all about? And water has to do with emotions. So what is going on in my life emotionally that's causing this flood in my basement? And a lot of people would say, well, how about the pipe that just broke in front of your house? But I would say that's no accident. There are no accidents. That's what Louise Hay says. That's what Course in Miracles says. That's what all spiritual, teachings, I believe, would say, that there are no accidents, that nothing is happening randomly. There's a reason for everything. And it's our consciousness. It's what we're thinking about, it's what we're feeling about, and it's what we're speaking. And whatever those three things are, we are creating in our lives. And that's why my workshops are called Create Your Best Life. Think and envision and speak about and feel excited about the best that you possibly can, and that's what you'll create.
Wow. Kerri, can I jump in here just for a second?
Absolutely.
I have a question. And the question is there an overlapping style or a practice that Brenda and you share that kind of are where there's like a happy meeting place right there? From having the conversation that we've had here, do you feel if there's something there where there's a meeting point? I'm trying to make it as clear as I can.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, number one, it's very clear that we both believe in a universal energy, that we're all connected, and that, tools like meditation and going into that relaxed, theta state can help, to heal our lives, heal ailments in our lives. And certainly, just in Albany, we just did the Albany Peace Project, and I participated in that, and it was using meditation to reduce the crime rate in Albany. And they've done lots of studies that are, show that not only does meditation help with blood pressure and with reducing, heart rate and reducing stress, it also reduces the crime rate, and that's been a proven, many proven studies that have gone on. And, we also are both Reiki masters and know the power of using universal energy to help ourselves heal and to help others heal. And all of those things, I think, are just wonderful, wonderful tools that we can share with the world. So, Brenda, thank you so much for the work that you're doing. It's really, really lovely. And Kerri and Craig as well. I mean, just what an amazing group of people on this line that are out there helping the world to be a better place to live.
We are going to have to take a little break, and we will be right back.
The word is spreading. More and more people are becoming Ambit Energy Consultants.
I overheard a friend of mine talking about Ambit. Now I'm the one talking about it.
Helping others save on energy, this is more than a business.
I sure like working for myself better than my old boss.
The word is spreading. Ambit Energy is growing.
Ambit's moving into more and more deregulated markets all the time.
I feel like I'm getting in on the ground floor, and that's a good thing.
Opportunity is everywhere.
The word is spreading. Anyone can be an Ambit consultant.
I'm actually a dental surgeon, but when I picture my future with Ambit, it's a lot more promising.
If you'd like to become an Ambit Energy independent consultant, listen to the following contact information closely. Then spread the word.
Visit everythingisenergy.energy526.com. That's everythingisenergy.energy526.com.
The word is spreading. More and more people are switching to Ambit Energy.
Well, one of my neighbors switched, and then I switched. Now the whole neighborhood has Ambit.
Who doesn't want to save money?
The word is spreading. Switching to Ambit Energy is rewarding in more ways than one.
I signed up and got a travel reward. That's nice.
Oh, I get to save on energy and on travel?
There's a cruise for two out there just a few thousand kilowatts away. I can almost smell the sunscreen.
The word is spreading. Ambit Energy even lets you earn free energy.
When I get 15 friends to switch, I get free energy. I have 15 friends. At least I think I do.
Hey, I'd be telling people to switch to Ambit anyway.
If you'd like to switch to Ambit Energy, listen to the following contact information closely. Then spread the word.
Visit everythingisenergy.joinambit.com. That's everythingisenergy.joinambit.com.
We are back. This is Kerri Kannan, and you are listening to World Awaken Talk Radio. I am joined by Craig Todd, Brenda Pearce, and Ginger Hanna, and we are talking about currently how Brenda's work and Ginger's work sort of can connect. And go ahead, Ginger. You were sort of describing how you felt about that.
Yeah, I think, and Brenda, what would you say? I think that those certainly are ways in which we connect with the, where our work overlaps, both in meditation and going into that relaxed state and, the relaxation response, and also in Reiki and learning that technique and being able to help people heal without the side effects of drugs and, surgery and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. One thing that just really springs to mind is, and as you were sharing your original story about your dad and how that affected your life, once you learn to let go of the outcome, so once you start to let go of the outcome of, we grasp onto things like, there isn't enough money, this is going to tarnish the rest of my relationships because of this event. Once you learn to let go, and as I say, let God, then the miracles of life really start to happen. You can really relax into the effect that everything is really taken care of. And there is an opportunity here to not hold on so tight, then things really start to change. I see that.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. As my dad's note, my dad's suicide note said, "I hope that God can take better care of you than I did." Mm-hmm. And what he was saying was, what I got from that was, geez, if my dad didn't think like he could take care of us, then, and he had to take his life because he wasn't doing that, oh my God, I really need to work really hard and, provide for my family, and if I'm not doing that, then I'm not worthy, and that kind of stuff. And that was the exact opposite of what he was saying. He was really saying, God does the providing. God is going to provide for you. And the most amazing things came out of that, real tragedy in our lives. And my brother, my sister, and I, my brother was 1 year in college at the time. My sister was 13. We all got tuition assistance. We got SSI. We got, loans and things like that. All three of us finished college. And I know with all my heart that would not have happened had my dad lived, because we just did not have the funding to do that. So we all got to go to college, and it took me really until this Christmas. It was kind of like a Christmas present to myself. I'm so happy that I finally got that I really can let go and let God provide for me. And as I've done that, you are absolutely right, Brenda. Just every single day, it's like there's another miracle. Like manna from heaven, that's what happened in the wilderness. The Israelites were led out of Egypt, and then they got in the desert, and they said to Moses, "Okay, now where are we going to get this food from? Geez, we should have stayed in Egypt. Like at least we knew we were going to be fed." And God said, "I'm going to send you manna every single day, and I only want you to take enough for one day. And if you take more than that, it's going to spoil, because what you're learning here is that you need to trust me, and that you can trust me." And that's exactly what he did. Every single day, he sent them manna from heaven. But there were so many of them that didn't believe that it took them, it took until that whole generation of negative thinkers had crossed over for them to move into the promised land. So let's take a lesson from that and not let our negative thinking and our mistrust in this beautiful universe that we have and this, God that loves us so much. Let's just trust that we are provided for, and that if we just let go of thinking that we have to, run circles and jump through hoops to earn love or to be worthy enough to have a prosperous life, that is just totally misunderstanding universal law, and it's not the truth. It is not the truth. The truth is that we are beloved children of God who are abundantly provided for every single day. And I love this quote by Shakti Gwan. She says, "Every moment of our lives is infinitely creative, and the universe is endlessly bountiful. Just put forth a clear enough request, and everything your heart's desires must come to you. Everything your heart desires must come to you. But we have to put forth that clear enough request." So that we do that with our thoughts. We envision what we want. We imagine what we want. We get excited about it. We can feel it, taste it, see it, hear it, smell it. We use all our senses to, we vision board it. We speak it in positive terms. I am now in the perfect job for me, and explain what that is. I am now in the most beautiful, amazing marriage, and explain what that is. That's how I ended up with my husband. I had this vision board. My vision board for my husband is like 3 feet tall and about 6 feet wide. And I envisioned exactly what I wanted him to be like, and what our life would be like together, and what that would feel like to be in his arms and to have him in my life, and that we would create music together, and that we would have kids, our kids together. I didn't want any more kids, but I just wanted a bigger family. I didn't want to have any more children, basically, but I wanted more kids. And so he came into my life with 4 kids, 3 of whom are grown, and 1 who's a 10-year-old. I absolutely adore them. And he's a singer, songwriter, guitar player, and we sing and, play together all the time. So it works. It absolutely works. You just have to use your thoughts, your words, and your emotions in the most positive way to envision and listen to your heart's desires, and they must come to you.
Absolutely. I so wholeheartedly agree. And I teach nursing students, and I actually tell them to look at their hands and tell them every day, look at your hands and realize your hands are the hands of the angels. Create with love and make miracles happen.
Oh, beautiful. Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you.
I really appreciate Kerri and Craig. You're bringing Ginger and I into your beautiful conversation here. And I know that my day is ever brighter now and more awakened from this experience.
Well, thank you, Brenda, and thank you, Ginger. This has been a great conversation. I'm very, very pleased.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm speechless, and that's not usually the case.
I know that you both have something that you would like to share with our listening audience. For those of you who don't know, if you go to the World Awakened website, and on the right-hand side there's a little sign-up box to go on our mailing list. And for those who go on the mailing list, you'll have access to all the bonus material from all of the guests that you hear, and it will just keep growing and growing and growing. So both of these wonderful women have things that I think that they might like to share with you. So, Brenda, would you like to go first?
Sure. When I was invited to this event, I was wondering what could I bring to the mix, and I right away decided to create a Blog Talk Radio international event for this Saturday, in which I will, for an hour, create a meditation circle, help everybody in the circle feel relaxed and experience Reiki, but also help them to spread their own energy across the world and create this beautiful circle of love and light that we're going to create, and then allow some participants to enter into the circle and receive some direct Reiki as directed by myself. I don't do it. I'm just the vesicle for it. But also, because we have this circle that will be formed, everybody in the circle will also enhance the power of the healing that they'll receive, because they will be beaming love and energy from their own hearts towards the recipient. And the beautiful thing about this is this call, once it's recorded, the energy of the event will be embedded in it. So as a gift to the World Awakened Project is this recording that will, the event to come to experience if you can live, and if you can't, just listening to the replay will have just as great an effect and absolutely magnify it by the more people that listen to it. So that's my gift.
Great, thank you. And Ginger, did you have something you wanted to share?
Yes, I would love to be able to offer people a half-an-hour introductory life coaching session, and we can get them started thinking about how they want to create their best life and what their heart's desires are. And if they want to continue with life coaching, we can go on from there, but we'll start it with a half an hour of free coaching, and that's my gift.
Awesome. And all of that information will be available on the bonus page. But if you'd like, ladies, you feel free to give out your website addresses and things like that if that's something you want to do. Otherwise, they can just go to the page and click on the links and find your contact information there. So, Brenda, did you want to share that, or are you?
I'll just put in a shameless plug.
Okay.
I'd love to invite anybody who'd love to listen to the eFactor Network to go to efactornetwork.biz. And there are powerful podcasts by many, many wonderful transformational healers, speakers, authors of our time there. And I will be creating streaming online radio from the podcast as well come March. And that is something I'm just very happy to promote. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. And Ginger, did you want to lead people to your website, or are you happy to have them just go to the bonus page?
Yep, they can go to the bonus page, and I think that'll be a great way to do it. My website is currently in development this month in March. I'll have that finished by the end of March. I do have a Facebook page, which is Ginger Hanna Life Coach, and you're welcome to go to the Facebook page. And my website will be just www.gingerhanna.com. But that's not it's not currently up and running. It's a work in progress. And by the end of the month, I'll have that done by the end of March.
Okay, fantastic. So that's www.gingerhannah.com and efactornetwork.biz for Brenda. But that will all be on the bonus page along with tons of gifts from our other guests as well. We are going to have to wrap it up here in just a minute, Craig. Is there anything you'd like to say?
I'm really delighted to have been part of this show here, and it's just been very interesting and just informative in ways that you just never thought were possible. It's just my mind was just flooded with information and possibility. So thank you very much, ladies, all of you. It was great.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us. You have been listening to World Awakened Talk Radio. This is your host, Kerri Kannan, joined by Craig Todd, Brenda Pearce, and Ginger Hannah. Thank you so much, and have a fantastic day.
Thank you for joining us. You have been listening to World Awakened Talk Radio at www.worldawakened.com.